In money matters now, the JSE is expected to move higher today with the recovery in commodity prices set to boost mining shares. The rand slipped in early trade as U.S. Treasury yields rose, boosting the value of the dollar ahead of the release of the U.S. nonfarm payrolls report in the afternoon. Independent analyst Jimmy Moyaha, joins us now to talk through the latest market-moving business stories. A very good morning to you, Jimmy. Happy Friday. So let's start with a sense of the markets opening this morning after ending the last session in the green.
Good morning, Dudu. The markets opened slightly firmer today. We saw that the SA Top 40 was up about 0.5%. We saw MTN trading up about 3%. Some of the hospitality stocks, Sun International and City Lodge, also up. We are expecting to see some market movements, as you rightly said, later in the day when we do get those non-farm numbers out. We saw on Wednesday that ADP numbers came out from the US, and those numbers were positive. So we are expecting to see how today's non-farm numbers and job numbers will affect the overall sentiment around the market. The dollar, well, the rand to the dollar is holding at the 15 rand mark. It dipped to about 14.80 yesterday, but we have seen it touch 15.25 in recent times. So it'll be interesting to see how today's numbers will affect the overall sentiment around SA markets and the global market as well.
Right. An interesting one. So the African Development Bank will be supporting the Continental Free Trade Area with $7 billion for the next 5 years. Talk us through how this will actually be distributed.
So the Development Bank hasn't given too much details about the $7 billion that they're planning to distribute. What they have said, though, is that they're committing about 500 million to Nigeria for the development of technological businesses and industries in Nigeria. They've said that the main purpose of the support is to develop climate-friendly businesses, women-owned businesses, small to medium businesses, to provide support for those businesses as they trade within Africa. And how they're going to do that is basically by guaranteeing the loans that these businesses take out for the products that they sell within the continent. Some of the economists have outlined that they expect the Africa free trade area to sort of grow by about 50% over the next 10 years. And so there's been commitment not only from the African Development Bank, but from also other banks and other sectors in the space. So the African Export and Import Bank, for example, has contributed or pledged another $40 billion as well on top of the $7 billion that's been pledged. So it's just generally a drive by all of the commercial the banks to see if they can stimulate the Africa Free Trade Area and see if they can achieve this 50% growth that they're looking to do over the next 10 years.
The success of the free trade area hinges on the movement of people. We were expecting that the African passport will be a thing, according to what we had been told by the end of this year, but alas. So I think that's something that we'll definitely follow up on. Let's look at Santam. It's lost its appeal against a decision that it must pay businesses affected by the pandemic in full. Take us through that ruling.
So in a nutshell, the ruling is a Supreme Court of Appeal ruling following a High Court ruling that deemed that they weren't liable. So now the Supreme Court of Appeals has now ruled that they are liable for this, and they've said that they're liable for about 3 months worth of claimants or claims from the claimants. And in line with that, they've just said that this is the viewpoint outlining I believe it's the CBI, the contingent business interruption policies that Santam had in place. And Santam has come out to say that in line with those policies, they appreciate the Supreme Court ruling. They've found clarity on the matter as well in terms of the definitions and what would meet the terms of that policy. And I think it's a big win for the tourism sector. We've definitely seen the tourism sector as one of the hardest hit sectors with lockdowns and everything taking place. And the short-term insurance space hasn't really done the best in terms of processing claims in some respects. Santam has already come out, and I mean, we know that they've processed about 2.1 billion rand in claims, and of that, about 1.1 billion rand has been in the last 9 months, so from January of this year. So some of the guys like Santam are saying that they're processing these claims, but they needed some clarity on certain policies in certain areas. But I think overall, the tourism sector this is a very big win for them, in line with how hard they were hit following COVID.
Steinhoff is looking to, close its 2017 accounting irregularity scandal. The company's settlement plan has been approved by a Dutch court, but it must still be made law here in the country. What needs to happen next?
So, as you rightly mentioned, Dudu, we need a South African court to rule that the settlement is okay from a South African perspective. If you remember a couple of weeks back, there was a High Court ruling that basically said that the Steinhoff, given Steinhoff's registration outside of South Africa and operating in South Africa and in line with the laws or the definitions of the Companies Act, there is authority or jurisdiction for a South African court to liquidate them. Now, Steinhoff, of course, wants to avoid a liquidation. They want to go the route of a settlement. And so they've been trying to fight this, and they've now lodged with the Supreme Court of Appeal to contest that High Court ruling, to say that the basis upon which it was made is incorrect. So what we're looking to see from this is if a South African court goes ahead and grants Steinhoff the ruling in terms of the settlement, rather than in terms of liquidation, you might see that Steinhoff would have a positive reaction in the market, as shareholders have already voted for this. The Dutch courts have voted for this. The European business stakeholders are also in favor of a settlement, because nobody wants to have to wind up the business, sell off its assets, and sort of go the liquidation route. Steinhoff's also further committed by raising about 7.3 billion rand in the form of selling about 10% of its Pepkor holdings. So they're very committed to going the settlement route, and guys like Techie Town that are in South Africa are fighting this. They want to go the route of liquidation. So for the moment, we need a South African court to give us a bit more guidance, because the Dutch court has ruled that the settlement is okay, provided the South African courts are happy with it.
Jimmy Moyaha is an independent analyst talking to us all things markets. Thank you, Jimmy.